Are you one of those "I'll do it tomorrow" people? Right. So your lawn needs to be mowed today. Actually, it needed to be mowed about 3 weeks ago. But I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, you need to like make a bank deposit, or else a bunch of your checks are going to bounce, and it really needs to be done. And you don't know what might happen in the next couple of days that might derail you from your intention to make a deposit. So maybe you should just do it now, get it done, get it out of the way, and save yourself a bunch of bank charges. But what happens? I'll do it tomorrow. Dishes piled up in the sink. I'll do it tomorrow. You got like a homework assignment. I'll do it tomorrow. Right? You got to go shopping. I'll do it tomorrow. We are an "I'll do it tomorrow" nation or world. I think. I mean, maybe there are tons of people who do it today, who do it now, who get it done, who get it out of the way. Who pay attention to what needs to be done, and they jump right on it. And that's the smart way to go. That's the smart way to go. You don't wait until your engine light is on before you check your oil, okay? Yeah, you check your oil all along the way. Every time you put gas in, you check the oil, you check the water. You make sure you're not being a jerk. You check the tire pressure. This way, you're on top of it. If something goes wrong, you fix it immediately. You nip it in the bud, and you don't end up with like a massive inconvenience and a massive car bill. There are tons of ways in which we don't pay attention, and we don't do it now. The light bulb flickers, or a switch, a light switch flickers on and off. There's something wrong with the light switch. It's failing. Eventually it's going to not work at all. But what do? Oh, I'll call the electrician tomorrow, or I'll fix it tomorrow. And then what happens is tomorrow we get distracted, or we put it off another day, and then eventually the thing breaks down, and now it's a really big hassle, and maybe it requires more time, more money, more attention to detail. In my business as a psychiatrist, I prescribe medications as well as talk therapy, and when I'm prescribing medications to people, I tell people, don't wait till you are out of medication to contact the pharmacy or me for a refill, because I got a ton of things to do, and a lot of times they are critical, and for me to drop everything to make a phone call to a pharmacy that should be routine, sometimes I just can't do it, or sometimes the pharmacy isn't going to jump on it and get it done, and you may go without medicine for a day or two, and that's not good. I tell people, pay attention. 4 or 5 days before you run out of medicine, let us know. So there's a smooth, but it doesn't happen, and it can be very disruptive in people's lives. I tell people who are depressed on medication, and let's say they're stabilized and they're doing well, and then they start to get depressed again, or they start to get anxious again, some symptoms creep up again. I tell people, let me know right away. Don't say, oh, let me see how I do tomorrow. One of these, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll call them tomorrow. Let me see how I do tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. And eventually they're in a deep pit of depression, and it's much harder to pull somebody out of a deep pit of depression as opposed to pulling them out of a very minor, slippage where they're depressed or anxious. It's always best to nip things in the bud. A stitch in time saves nine. Right? There's a reason for cliches. They're true. We can save ourselves a lot of grief and aggravation if we don't procrastinate. Yes, there are certain things you can push off to a later day, but if you do, make sure you've still left yourself enough time for an unintended occurrence. People are late so much, and it's because, well, there was an accident or traffic was bad. Well, yeah, no kidding. Maybe you should expect that and leave yourself more time. And if you end up being early for an appointment, you certainly have a phone to play with, and keep yourself occupied. There's always stuff you can do. It's always better to get to an appointment on time or early rather than late. And so you factor in these things. My point is, we create problems for ourselves by putting things off rather than saying, okay, it needs to be done, let me do it now. It's going to take the same amount of time to do it later versus now, oftentimes more time later, but let's just say it's equal. Let's just say it's going to be just as much time to do it later than to do it now, so I might as well do it now, because if I actually do put it off, maybe it will be worse later. Maybe it will cost me more time, money, aggravation. Maybe it will be very inconvenient. And I remember like rushing. I was rushing on the freeway because I had to make an appointment. I didn't want to be late for an appointment. I had a whole bunch of patients I needed to see, and I was coming from court. I think I had given a deposition or something, and I was I was speeding along on the freeway, and I got into a five-car, collision because I wasn't paying attention. I was, I was tailgating, and someone stopped way ahead, and then one car slams into another, and another, and another. I was the third one in this thing, and it was like a five-car smash up. And what happened? So was I late for my appointments? You bet I was. Right, I had to cancel the whole day, and my car was like a mess, and that had to be towed, and then I had to deal with all these people and filling out the reports, and then of course having to go through estimates and get my car fixed, and having to deal with like my neck problems that resulted from the accident, and all because I was in a hurry, and it cost me a lot more. It would have been better just to be late for that first appointment than to have done what I did. But it was a valuable lesson because I don't tailgate anymore, and I very rarely speed to get anywhere. I think it probably happens once in a while still, but I have trained myself to a large degree not to tailgate. That's a huge thing. Rear end collisions happen because people tailgate, and there's not enough time for them to brake when they realize someone has braked in front of them, and so you end up smashing it into them, and it's your fault, regardless of the fact that they stepped on their brakes abruptly. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Tailgating is massively dangerous. That's probably, speeding and tailgating are probably the two main causes of accidents and deaths. Anyway, I guess this is when I start to ramble. I guess that's the time to like stop and move on to another topic.